All right. Hello, friends. Let me yap to you about this book I read. So, I recently finished The Entanglement of Rival Wizards, and I knew that this was going to be kind of a good book because I've heard a lot of good things about it. But I'm really surprised by not only how much I liked it, but also like how kind of deep it got. So, as a basic foundational understanding for you guys, the entanglement of rival wizards is about these two characters. One of them's named Sebastian, the other is Elithior. They are two wizards who are rivals, air quotes. If only I had hands. Basically, they are in two very different but very similar types of magic, genres of magic. One does conjuration, one does evocation. If you're like, what's the difference between them? Not only have they been competing a lot with each other, but their departments in this college that they go to compete a lot as well for resources because they are so similar. They end up competing for the same research grant, and kind of a little bit spoilers, but it's also the foundation of the book. I have to tell you this in order for you to understand. They both end up getting it as like a joint sort of thing because the people who like give out grants want to know what would happen if these two work together, and then also like conjuration and evocation are basically the same thing. So they should work out fine. Now, one of the very first things that pulled me in with this book was the fact that from Sebastian's point of view, this was like a rivalry. Like they hated each other. But the very first time that Elithior shows up on page, it's so obvious that Elithior is like in love with Sebastian. Elithior says a lot of things in that very first interaction, like calling Sebastian baby boy and sweetheart in like really kind of mean ways. Like in Sebastian's point of view, like I said, they're enemies, they're rivals, like they hate each other. And so it's like, oh, I'll be better than your family and I'm gonna defeat you and all that. And Elithior is like, sure you will, baby boy. Like it was so obvious that Elithior had feelings for Sebastian. And so that's what kind of made it like a fun read, was this difference between their two viewpoints. That being said, even though this book was, really fun and I was really enjoying the romance, this book also has a lot of like darker topics. You can kind of tell as you're reading it that we're going to get into some darker, like trauma related things. Sebastian and his best friend Orok talk a lot in the narration and also, to each other about this history that they had. And there's like some PTSD stuff that goes along with it as well. You can kind of tell that something bad happened to them in their past, but the book doesn't tell you what it is until way later. And then also on Elithior's side, his mom had an accident and is now in a nursing home, and he is taking care of her. That's something that happens like really early on. You've learned that in the book. And so there's a lot of harder hitting topics throughout this book. I don't want to go into Sebastian and Orok's past in specific because that's kind of like Elithior's mother is something that happens really early on in the book. And so I feel comfortable being able to explain that to you guys because it's like a couple of chapters in, versus you have to read through like 90% of the book in order to finally get that understanding of Sebastian Orok's past. So the only thing that I feel comfortable telling you about is that it's quite dark, like legitimately dark. And that was really surprising. The way that the book balanced between this like silly, goofy romance sort of thing and also these darker topics. It was really fun to read, but also like very difficult to put down because you just wanted to read more and try to see what had happened and what we were building up to. Very intense, I guess I would say. I also really enjoyed, if I'm going to be completely honest with you guys, really enjoyed the spicy scenes. Ooh, I can't say too much because this is YouTube, you know, and there are rules and regulations here. But I swear, I was reading this book on my Kindle. If I was reading this book in real life, if I had a physical copy of this book and I was like highlighting it the way that I was highlighting lines in my Kindle, this book would be like dripping with ink. Like there was so many things that I highlighted, I had a really good time with. And there were some scenes that I was like, damn, hell yeah. But again, I can't tell you too much about that. Just hey, listen. Damn. In all, I feel like there's not too much that I can say about this book because everything comes back to how much I really enjoyed this book. I ended up rating it 5 stars. 100%. Like, I absolutely loved it. There was a lot of funny bits. There was a lot of like the intense plot bits that had you be like, whoa. I 100% recommend it. I don't often like to like fully recommend books as in like, oh, if you like this, then you should read this or anything like that. But if you're gonna pick up a book that I recommend, I would really recommend this one. It was just a lot of fun. Like I said, definitely my thing. Had some depth to it there. I feel very rambly. I wrote notes for myself with this, but still, I just feel like this is such a good book to ramble about how much I enjoyed it. There is a sequel that is going to be coming out soon that's going to be following Orok, like within the next couple of weeks soon. And I'm definitely planning on picking that one up as soon as I possibly can, because like I said, it always comes back to this. I really enjoyed this book. I want to read more and I want to see what's going to be going on with Orok and this like cheerleader character. I'm excited for those vibes. But with all that being said, I feel like I just keep saying the same thing over and over again. So I should maybe probably end this here. So thank you for letting me ramble to you about the Entanglement of Rival Wizards. I hope that you enjoyed listening to this, and I will see you in the next video for whatever I end up reading next. I have a couple of videos that I'm working on. And then I also a different project that's not books related, but will be on this channel. I hope you're excited to see those.